want to ask you a question from something I attended this morning, which is the primordial issue among the people we serve with disability. And that is a burgeoning and terrible demographic crisis the non-francophone community is facing. So we have 1.5 million non-francophones in Montreal, in our area, Montreal and Laval. 40% of the seniors who have children don't have them here. It's the largest sociologically orphaned senior population in North America since Oklahoma in the Depression. During the last years of the Harper government, the last 4 years in particular, we saw $35 billion tax cuts to the middle class. Our readership, the people we represent, really felt that. Why was it important? Because the time that Quebec was cutting services to caregiving, CLSCs, in health, it afforded middle class and working class Quebecers to care for the seniors particularly, whose poverty level is at 38% by government figures. Would you commit to a restoration after this government is finished to not only a balanced budget, but the same kind of tax cuts that the previous Conservative government had instituted for 4 years, aimed directly and targeted at the middle class and working class to let them provide the services the government has failed to?
Okay. Well, I can absolutely commit to restoring balanced budgets and bringing back the kinds of innovative tax credits that encouraged people to save, that made it easier to put money away, whether it was a tax-free savings account, which is universally recognized as one of the most innovative ways to help middle-class Canadians save for literally anything, but obviously a lot of that has to do with retirement security. Income security for people approaching retirement is a huge issue, and one that this government isn't talking enough about. My dad worked at the Ottawa Citizen. He's got a post-media pension, so we always keep our fingers crossed there. There's a lot of challenges in the newsprint industry, newspaper industry. There's a lot of challenges in a lot of industries, and many people who are approaching retirement age don't have that security that they may have had 20 or 30 years ago. And this government hasn't taken any of the steps that we did. In fact, they've reversed some of them. So yes, I am committed to bringing forward the types of tax policies that make it easier for families to put money away for their income security, make it easier for them to take care of a loved one. Our previous government did that with some of the compassionate leave requirements around the EI system, and that's something that we would always continue to look to do.
Can I have a quick supplementary? Quick one. Major concern of our communities is that what started out under the present government as a $10 billion deficit is ballooning. We've got accumulated deficits now 35, some economists say $40 billion. It's got to result in income tax rises. I'm hearing, however, from people that they're not hearing that enough. That the economic policies of the current government have to lead to increased taxation, that there's a delay in that information because everybody's looking at the next election. Is that a message that we can drive home more directly, or are people worried for nothing?
I think it's always been a challenge for people who are concerned about the deficit to communicate the importance of that, and that's something I'm committed to doing. You're absolutely right. A deficit today means higher taxes tomorrow. That money has to get paid back sometime. If we take it in our own individual experiences as family units, I would never think about racking up a credit card bill and counting on my kids to pay it off. If I did, they probably wouldn't. Probably wouldn't come visit me in my old age. And it's not just. None of us as parents would do that. And yet this government is reaching into the future and borrowing money from my kids. I've got 5 of them, from their future prosperity to pay for the political spending today. It's having a huge effect on confidence in our sector. $18 billion. What happens when interest rates go up? Well, part of your tax dollar goes more to paying down interest payments than on services and what government can offer. As those interest rates rise, that debt becomes very, very expensive. The yield on U.S. Treasuries has already almost doubled. That is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on our central bank here in order to keep financing the debt. When economic downturns come, those $18 billion debts could seem very, very small in the future if we get any kind of a low growth period, which we know always happens eventually. So when times are good, that's when governments should be paying down debt and creating that fiscal flexibility for when there is a crisis. It's the grasshopper and ant story, and right now we've got the grasshopper running the treasury.